I tell him, do you hear the kids? And he says, no. And we get up instantly. We're looking outside.
Hi, today I'm analyzing Maleyha Brooks Murray and the Lillian Jack Sullivan case, 2 kids missing from Nova Scotia. This particular interview comes from a channel called Hunter S. True Crime. I will try to leave the link in the description box below. Let's get into it.
I'm just staying as hopeful as possible. I want them home. I want to hold them. And I want them home. What happened was we woke up, I heard them playing in the next room beside us, and I was drifting in and out of sleep, and they're not the type of kids that we tell them not to go outside on their own. We always make sure that we're out there with them, watching them, and they happen to just get out that sliding door, and we can't hear it when it...
At the beginning of this part of the clip, Maleyha says that she's remaining hopeful, and that normally comes with an uplifting of features, an eyebrow flash for a creasing, and the entire body uplifting with the words hopeful. Now, given this case is a very sad situation, it does make a bit of sense that we might not see that, but it is something I want to note, that when she says hopeful, we're not seeing that express that they're remaining hopeful. We do see downward glabellar furrowing in a lot of this, but this also appears to come with the narrowing of palpable fissures and might just be more because there's the sun in her face. She does also look downward quite a bit, which seems to be emotional eye accessing, recalling things, and that makes sense to do in this situation as she has to remember what took place. It can also be a sign, though, of storytelling, of coming up with what she's going to say next in a situation that is indeed emotional, but isn't necessarily because she feels any sort of attachment to what she's saying. And this incongruence in what she's verbally expressing and the downward eye accessing can indicate that she might be hiding something, that she might be deceptive in some way. Now, of course, there are other possibilities here. The downward eye accessing really could be because she is feeling emotional about the situation as she's expressing she is, but normally that would come with someone who is staring downwards, not seeming to scan the pavement as if she's looking for what she's going to say next. There's certainly a lot of jaw shifting, some disagreement and discomfort around certain areas of this that you'll see, such as when she discusses the children playing. There's some discomfort and disagreement around that, and her expressing that the kids escaped through this sliding door. There's a brief eyebrow flash as she says happened to get out of that sliding door, bringing emphasis to the sliding door. So that's a big key in this case that both her and the stepfather have mentioned is the sliding door. There's a lot of significance around this sliding door. And we see that same significance from the stepfather when he mentions culverts. When it comes to Maleyha, however, those eyebrow flashes don't come around too frequently, don't emphasize other areas that we should see it. And I say this in many videos, but we really should see those eyebrow flashes pop up when there's significance to something such as staying hopeful, such as this is what she told her partner. You'll see that in a moment. Instead, we see a lot of jaw shifting, and that indicates discomfort, disagreement around something. And it's interesting when she says that around the kids playing and getting out of the sliding door. Verbally, what she expresses is that these are not the type of kids to be told to go outside and not be supervised. Verbally, she's expressing this. She slows down, however, quite a bit when she says, these are not the type of kids to, and then she says, not be told, which means that normally they're not the type of kids that she wouldn't tell to go outside. She would normally indeed tell them go outside on their own. It conflicts with the narrative that she's trying to spread here that she normally would be out there watching them. Then as she's expressing that normally they're watching them, she then follows that up with, then they happened to get out of that sliding door. This mention of a period of time where these kids verbally and position-wise must have been being watched, must have been supervised in some manner, and then they got out of the sliding door, but they were already outside. So verbally she's expressing this timeline of events where they normally go outside supervised. They're not the kind of kids that would be told to go outside otherwise, and they happen to get out of the sliding glass door. There's significance to that in both the stepfather's and the mother's story, even though in what she was just telling us, the kids would have already been outside. This skewing of a timeline of events that doesn't make sense and does come with storytelling, along with her scanning the pavement and that jaw shift, that disagreement and lip compressions that indicate she's holding something back. This is not a mother that's expressing she absolutely wants her kids to be found. It doesn't matter what it takes, and telling us perhaps how to find those kids. She even starts off this story with what happened was, which is typically what we would do if we're about to launch into a story that most likely is not true, that comes along as a defense of what's about to take place instead of just telling us what took place. And there are a lot of indications that she feels defensive. Again, this is not a mother who's saying confidently that she wants her kids home and she wants them to be found. That's further confirmed with the chin down, protecting that vulnerable part of her body there that often comes with someone who's being defensive. Then when she says, I want to hold them, she glances away, which that does not necessarily indicate deception there, her breaking that eye contact. It could be because she's having to squint because of the sunlight in her face. It could be a bit of discomfort there that comes with just being in this sort of situation. But she certainly breaks eye contact looking this way, and then looking back, she says, I want to hold them, pause, and I want them to come home. And there's a lot of emphasis around home with the eyebrow flashes, but her chin remains down. At the same time, it's not in the past tense. She's not saying, I wanted them to be home, I wanted to hold them. And that would indicate that she does indeed express a level of hope that they can be found, they can be returned. But what I would personally expect to see further there is, I'm hoping they can be found, I'm hoping I could just hold them again. We do see genuine sorrow when she says, and I want them to be home, right after she says she wants to hold them, and there is that pause there and that breaking of eye contact. She says, and I want them to be home, expressing genuinely she does want them to be home, but that sorrow does not come around other parts that I would expect to see that sorrow, such as when they escaped out of the sliding door, where we see the eyebrow flashing. And then she goes back to the downward glabella furrowing there, that muscle in between the eyebrows, that expresses real grief, but also most likely in this situation is just because she's having to squint because of the sunlight in her face.
And we can't hear it when it opens. And they were outside playing, but we weren't aware of it at the time. And the next thing we knew, it was quiet, and we get up and I tell him, my partner, Daniel, I tell him, do you hear the kids? And he says, no. And we get up instantly. We're looking outside. We're looking everywhere, yelling for them. And I instantly just call 911. I just had the instinct I needed to call. They're both really go-lucky children.
There are a few parts in this where she also stumbles over her words, which again does not indicate that someone is being deceptive, because in an instance you might feel a lot of anxiety, you might stumble over your words. However, we're really not seeing a lot of indications of real anxiety. She should be feeling anxiety in this situation, but we're not seeing a lot of indications of that. There's not a high blink rate despite that sunlight being in her face. There aren't any adapters that I'm seeing. She does, however, shift her body this way and this way, breaks eye contact pretty frequently, and further justifies verbally, we didn't know at the time, there's an eyebrow flash, we didn't know at the time. Her chin also goes down again, this indication of perhaps defensiveness and perhaps shame or guilt she might feel around the situation, just protecting that vulnerable part of her body, something we would not expect to see. We're not seeing a lot of confidence, we're not seeing sorrow where we should see it, we're seeing a lot of jaw shifting, her then verbally justifying what's taking place, centering herself as this good parent who always does the right thing, tells her kids not to go out the sliding glass door on their own, always supervises them. That's what we're also not hearing, though, verbally expressed from her, is that she is uncertain about what happened. There's not any shrugging, any uncertainty. I don't know what happened. I'm as confused as you are about the situation. This is all a mystery to me. We aren't hearing that from her, which does indicate that perhaps she does know exactly what took place. Her sorrow around, and I want them home, doesn't necessarily mean that she wants them home because she misses them, but she wants them home because otherwise she's found guilty of something. This is just my belief, because there are a lot of reasons that these behaviors can take place. Again, the glabella furrowing itself downwards usually indicates grief. Those are real grief muscles, but with a narrowing of palpable fissures and the lack of genuine sorrow, tears, and emotion around that indicates that most likely the downward glabella furrowing has more to do with the sunlight in her face and less to do with genuine grief. And then that with the jaw shifting, the discomfort, and then her further stumbling over words, saying a lot of things in a timeline that is skewed, that does not make sense, all indicates that she knows what took place. She might feel some guilt and shame and feel bad about what took place, but isn't necessarily fully hopeful and confident about them being returned, them being found, and a future with these children.
I appreciate that huge search effort going on right now. But we've been pushing for an Amber Alert, which hasn't been issued, not just that they could possibly be abducted, which it is a possibility that they could have been, but just an alert to let everyone know that they are missing. We had people text me saying that to let them know that they were missing, and it would just be nice if everyone could be alerted. We thought maybe that we found tracks, but it's still uncertain. It's been
not a lot body language wise from her directly here, except for her saying that she appreciates the search efforts. She stumbles over those words. She slows down a bit. Her brain is having to slow down and process what she wants to say. This is not done in confidence, which again does not always mean deception, but indicates that she's having to really consider her words here and be particular. It's very difficult to lie. It's very difficult to be deceptive. And often we would have to slow down and process what's taking place, what we're about to say. Again, not always an indication of deception. I often look for clusters of behavior. Prior to this, it was all jaw shifting, lip compressions, her chin being down, lack of eyebrow flashes in certain areas, lack of tears and grief and emotion where we should see it, emphasis around a sliding glass door, but not this question of what did happen, what did take place. She's not uncertain about things that I would expect her to be uncertain about. It's not a mystery to her. And now we've heard her say they were missing, as if they are already home. She has verbally expressed in past tense, they were missing, not they are missing. And the current search efforts are currently very beneficial, and that she wants to push for more of those. She says she pushes more for an Amber Alert, verbally expressing that people are reaching out and she is appreciative of that she's pushing for an Amber Alert, but then negates the idea of this being an abduction. She does not offer that this is an abduction or offer that something that is mysterious could have happened, just that the two escaped, that typically she would actually tell them they could go out unsupervised, and that she currently does want them home. So these are all the behaviors and nonverbal cues that we're seeing from Maleyha. My personal belief is that she knows exactly what took place, but that is pretty damning, and I can't guarantee, I can't say for sure with certainty that Maleyha knows exactly what happened, but the nonverbal cues and the incongruency with what she's verbally expressing, and the fact that she's attempting to justify and focusing on how she looks as a mother to the public usually comes from people who are guilty of something or who are at least knowledgeable about what took place. And there's not this air of mystery and uncertainty, does not ask questions here, and that is pretty interesting. I would not expect to see that or hear that from a mother whose kids are missing, and she doesn't offer up other viable solutions aside from an Amber Alert, which honestly does not always help find missing kids. I'm going to end this here. If you've watched this far, thank you for watching. Please hit the like button. Please subscribe. Thank you for watching.